What got you to start thinking about exit?
I knew we couldn't continue to grow the way that I'd been, kind of scrappily running
Right.
it. And I hadn't wanted to raise money because I hadn't wanted to manage investors. A friend of mine, she said to me, even if you raise an angel round, they're going to ask who might acquire you.
That's right. Because anytime anyone invests, it's with the idea of the exit.
2 weeks later, I got an email from the head of biz dev at Relatable. They're known for the party game, What Do You Meme? I got contacted by their head of biz dev. He shortly after left the company. And I thought, I'm a realist. I know how these things go, they get handed off to other people. It's not going to go anywhere.
He was the champion of it. It's not going to go anywhere.
True to their word. I remember January 14th, we were in their offices having that meeting. And they said early on, like, look, if you're just looking to unload this company, we're still interested, but that's not what we want. We want your brain. That to me was like,
walking down the street, thinking about her exit, breaking down the steps so every founder gets it. She's the exit whisperer, she's opening the door. It started with a whisper, now that whisper's gonna roar. She just sold her company, and here you get the real story. You could be next. Walking down the street, thinking about her exit.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Exit Whisperer. Here's the thing. I know we're in season 7 and this is recorded in season 8, but I have to tell you, I bumped this because it is breaking news. Marina Khidekel, founder of Hugimals, has sold her company to Relatable. You know Relatable. It's from like the What Do You Meme team. You know that. You know that company. They're freaking amazing. And I'm so happy that the Whisper Group was able to play a part in it. I'm going to interview Marina today, fresh off her exit. We're talking less than 1 week. And I plan to interview her again a year later and ask some of the things that she's learned from the moment she sold with a little bit of perspective. I wanted you guys to hear the moment. I want people who are fresh in there so that you can hear it in that exact moment when they have that experience, because I think it's going to be invaluable for you. Here's Marina. Marina, longtime listener, first-time guest.
I'm so excited to be on the Exit Whisperer. Thank you.
And this is really special because I have interrupted this program to put you right in just really moments after your exit. This was when we're recording this. It was last week.
Yeah.
And when this airs, it'll be about 2 weeks.
I can't even believe it. I'm still a little numb.
I know. And that's why I'm so happy you're here, because I think we have to capture the moment right after. And so many people, it's like there's time. And I told you, we're going to do a year later, we're going to do like a comeback and like see and sit together. But like, because you're so fresh in it, I feel like your interview is going to be so powerful. And I just want to open by saying how grateful I am to you for having the courage and the strength to come here right now.
Well, I'm grateful to you for having me on and cementing this moment in time that you and your team helped so much with. And it'll be so interesting to look back in a year.
I can't wait. I want you to watch this because after I exited, I journaled. I don't know if you remember this. I did a LinkedIn post on it where I journaled all my fears and then and it was like right after. It was so fresh. So I feel like this will be a good memento box for you.
Or therapy session with you.
Exactly. That's why we're holding Hugimals. Obviously, we need to soothe our anxieties with our weighted stuffy. So speaking of Hugimals, can we just go back to the start, how this came to be, how you got it off the ground?
Yes. So I'm a first-time founder, Bootstrap founder, first-time consumer product founder after a 20-year career as an editor and journalist. I was an editor for places like Women's Health, Cosmopolitan, and then I ran content for Thrive Global for 4 years. I had this idea for an elevated weighted plush when I was having severe nighttime anxiety, couldn't fall asleep, racing mind. I tried weighted blankets because they were starting to be hot then. And I just found it too smothering, too warm, not for me. I was actually using my partner's arm as a weight because I really liked the feeling of that weighted deep touch pressure, it's called in the scientific community. It does soothe your nervous system. It does help you feel relaxed. But I couldn't find what I wanted. I was using my partner's arm. He said, please find something else. It's not comfortable for me. So I went looking for a design-forward weighted plush that adults could use, and I couldn't find one. And so I was like, let me try to prototype. I went as a journalist to New York Toy Fair. I peeked under the hoods of some of the biggest toy companies. And even then, this was right before the pandemic, we knew an anxiety epidemic was coming. I spoke with experts all the time for my job because I covered mental health. And nobody was creating a nice one of these. There were some, they were very clinical looking or juvenile looking, nothing I would want to gift, nothing I would want to keep. So
yeah, I relate to the weighted blanket feeling very smothering and almost increasing the anxiety by the full weight of the entire, like feeling a trapped energy.
Trapped. That's exactly the way that I felt. And also I felt like I was doing a leg workout in the night and I'd wake up sore because I was like, I guess trying to get out of it.
Totally. So how does a journalist go from having I see the really good insight, and I get that, like you have the vision for this, my Sam, my little sloth. Sam the sloth. How do you bring it to life, and how do you know what to do?
So I had the name first, Hugimals. I trademarked it. I was like, doesn't exist, got to get it.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny because at the first ever trade show, Toy Fair, that I launched at, a big toy company came up to me and said we were just about to trademark that.
Wow.
And I had gotten it before them.
Good for you.
But I did it the way a nerdy journalist would do it, right? So I started doing tons of research on deep touch pressure and the science behind, the functionality. I looked at all the products that were out there that were even similar, which wasn't a lot back then. I talked to experts and therapists and product designers and all sorts of people who are like, why are you calling me? Because I wanted to hear from an array of people who worked in adjacent fields or could inform the design of it or the functionality of it or the lovability of it. And so I spoke with therapists, I spoke with occupational therapists, and was trying to design the perfect weighted plush that didn't exist. And actually one thing the therapist told me was when you're not feeling great, you don't want something smiling stupidly back at you constantly. Even a plush, it could be read as judgmental or even aggressive by kids or even adults. And so you'll notice the Hugimal you're holding, all of our products are not smiling wide. They are neutral and sweet and empathetic, and they sort of mirror what you need to be feeling back to you. And the kids and the adults who have loved the products have kind of noticed that, and the reviews have said things like, I hold my Sam the Sloth at the end of a long day and it looks up at me and tells me everything's going to be okay. And I was like, oh,
I love how thoughtful that design is. And I totally can see you as a journalist entering this with a research lens towards the product.
Yeah.
Now, how does it go from product to actually getting sales? How does that part work?
So long story short, I never thought I'd be a founder. I always thought, let me license this idea to a company that knows how to do that.
I see this for you as a product person.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I ended up licensing it at the beginning of the pandemic, February 2020 at New York Toy Fair, right before the world shut down. And the company I licensed it to happened to have bought a really lovely premium plush company before. The founder, Linda Suh of that company, she was working there and she helped me sort of source the character artists, source the factories, and we made the product of my dreams. And then the company I licensed to got bought by a media company. They didn't put out any physical products, and they said, here's your 12,000 units of inventory. Goodbye.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to decide, do I throw them in the ocean or do I quit my career and become a founder and figure out how to launch a product? And I did the latter because, again, going back to my nerdy journalist background, I wasn't going to launch anything without validation. So I partnered with a nonprofit to do a pilot in 5 children's hospitals across the country. And I was bugging them for feedback, calling them for feedback, and the feedback had just come in. And the hospital staffer said, we use these with our most stressed out, agitated patients, and it calms them in minutes. How can we order more? And that's the validation I needed as a journalist.
So you started with the validation.
Yes.
What was the first moment that you knew that this had broad commercial appeal?
When the first orders came in from people I didn't know.
You must have been shocked.
I was so excited. And I'd never been a PR person, but being a journalist on the other side of hundreds of bad pitches every day, I kind of knew what not to do. So I did my own launch press. I did my own launch PR. And so quickly we started getting awards. We'd won Time's Best Inventions, Parents' Best Toys. We were, a household name pretty quickly because of that. And so then I knew People had heard of us and people were buying us, and this could have legs.
And do you credit the start of the growth to a lot of good PR? Like, did PR help a lot?
Oh, it helped so much.
That's
a lot of
so interesting.
companies don't understand the value of organic PR.
Yeah.
We didn't do any paid.
Yeah.
We didn't do any paid for a very long time because I didn't have the money to. So yeah, organic PR did a lot. Some very strategic friends of friends, influencers. I mean, here's the deal. When you're launching a company, and that's your time to call in every favor that you've never called in, right? And I'm not a person who asks for help a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, my family is immigrants. We're Russian Jews. Like, we didn't know anyone. We didn't have any money. And it was just keep your head down and work, right? Don't ask anyone for anything. Just pull yourself up and do it. And so that's kind of, that was my bias and how I operated. And I used this moment to be like, hey, I'm launching this thing. It helps people. I'd love to send you one. Can you please share it? And I did that with everyone I knew. And so that and the press helped.
So how did you fund the initial growth to get to where you were before you sold?
For my own savings.
Wow.
So even though I inherited a bunch of inventory, it cost a lot of money to ship it, store it, get all the safety, do all the things that you have to do before launching a product. And of course, no one builds alone. So I early on brought on a fractional team of, very small team of people who knew all the product stuff that I didn't know and the retail stuff that I didn't know.
This is what I really want to ask you, because I know from listening to you the story of the anxiety, right? And that this is part of the solve for that. Being a founder is so anxiety producing. Like, how did you navigate that aside from holding Hugimals? Like, how do you, I mean, the sale process too, I guess it's for both as we start to transition to talk about the sale. Like, how do you navigate anxiety when you're going through these high pressure moments?
I think, an idea is worth pursuing when you can't not do it, when you can't not put it in the world. It was more anxiety inducing to think that this would never launch to me. Than to just like walk through all the uncertainty and stress. And frankly, my career, I worked in magazines and then I worked at a startup. And so I'd gotten comfortable with a certain level of uncertainty, maybe not comfortable subconsciously, hence the nighttime anxiety. But I owed it to myself to try, and I owed it to the product to try. And the customers.
And try you did, and you got it to 7 figures bootstrapped, like unbelievable work in the first year.
Yeah.
In the first
I couldn't believe
year. It. Shocked.
That
was the shock.
That was the shock.
That was the shock. First order, excitement. $1 million year plus business.
Yeah.
Shock.
Yeah. First order was from a friend of mine.
First order from someone you didn't know, though, was very exciting.
Then the orders came from people I didn't know. And I was like, okay.
We've got this whole arc. So, from the time you started to when you sold is a relatively short runway, right? Like you achieved a lot in a short time frame. What got you to start thinking about exit? Were you approached? Talk to me like how this all came to be.
From the time I launched it to last week when I finalized the sale, it had been almost 4 years. We were just about a month short of 4 years.
So beautiful.
Which is incredible. And no, I wasn't actually thinking of selling yet, although that was always the long-term goal. But last summer, I'd been bootstrapping. I'd been doing loans and lines of credit, and I hadn't wanted to raise money because I hadn't wanted to manage investors.
Right.
It wasn't VC investable. It wasn't a tech company, so, but it was, a consumer company that was taking off and we had interest, and I just didn't want to go that route. Like, everything in me was like, I don't want to give up that control. I want to see where I can take this. And so last summer I knew we couldn't continue to grow the way that I'd been, kind of scrappily running it. I was till last week, I was the only full-time employee.
Wow.
All contractor team.
Wow.
And very small. So a friend of mine, I'd gotten to know so many founder friends and investor friends just from being in the New York founder circles. And she said to me, even if you raise an angel round, they're going to ask who might acquire you. You're going to have a list of potential acquirers to answer to that. And I hadn't thought about that.
That's right. Because anytime anyone invests, it's with the idea of the exit.
You know this better than anyone.
Yes.
That's before I knew you, though. Otherwise, you would have said that to me. And so I started thinking and looking and, looking around at the wellness company and big toy. And nobody felt right except for this one company who was a very modern fresh, young thinking toy and game company called Relatable. They're known for the party game What Do You Meme? That's what the company used to be called. And the emotional support pickles, emotional support nuggets, like that whole emotional support line. So they had entered the world of emotional support plush, but not weighted yet. And so I was like, I researched them. I looked at their products. I remember staked them out at trade shows for a while. And I was like, this is, my ideal acquirer. This really is the only company that I could see. So just having that in my back pocket, I decided not to raise. I just took another loan from a high net worth fan of the product, which is also validating in its own way. She's wonderful. 2 weeks later, I was getting on a plane from Atlanta back here to New York from a trade show, and I got an email from the head of biz dev at Relatable. I did not believe in manifesting before this point.
I was going to ask you, do you believe in manifesting, and do you believe that you manifested that moment?
I do now. After that, I read the book Mind Magic by Dr. Jim Doty, who has since passed. He was a neurosurgeon and worked with the Dalai Lama and studied compassion and studied manifestation. And it was a very science-backed book, which is what I needed. I'm not a very woo-woo person at all. And he really explained in a way that made so much sense to me how our conscious brains are only able to process a few pieces of information, but our subconscious is processing so many more pieces of information, like hundreds of thousands more pieces of information. And so when you prime it to look out for a goal, it's doing work when you're not conscious of it.
Putting myself in your shoes, if I get that email, I would immediately freak out. And I probably would be apt to be like, okay, whatever you want. Like, I manifested this here. But you actually were very thoughtful about your approach with them. So let's talk about what happened next.
Yeah, it was almost a year-long process. I got contacted by their head of biz dev, who introduced me to their 3 founders. He shortly after left the company for his dream job at the NFL.
Wow.
Good for him. And I thought, I'm a realist. I know how these things go. They get handed off to other people. It's never going to go anywhere.
He was the champion of it. It's not going to go anywhere.
But nope, true to their word. They were so communicative and clear, and this is an M&A conversation, and we want you to know that, and meeting. And then it was like, can we table this for a few months and meet in January in Q1, which made a lot of sense to me, and I was actually happy to do it too, business-wise.
Probably for you, the holidays.
Yeah,
very important.
but again, like my fatalist brain is like, we're never going to talk
over
again. Yeah.
Yes.
No, true to their word. I remember January 14th, we were in their offices having that meeting. I was pitching them some other product ideas that I couldn't launch by myself that were too big, and from there, from January to the end of May, negotiation time, you came aboard, thankfully, and Molly McCartan on your team, who was amazing and held my hand, because I hate negotiating.
Before we go on, I just want to say we were so proud to represent Marina in the sale of Hugimals to Relatable. It was a really moving experience to be able to take a founder across the finish line in this way, especially somebody who has built something that was so from the heart. It's no surprise that today's episode will be sponsored by the Whisper Group, because this is exactly what we do. We help founders truly understand what their exit options are and help make them come to life. And we couldn't be prouder to be a part of Marina's story, and for all of our listeners to be able to bring to you these stories of unbelievable exits. Exits that are big, exits that are small, and exits, most importantly, that are truly meaningful. It's an interesting trajectory. The work we did with you is actually my favorite kind of work, because it's a buyer that you know, that you love, that you know you want to go to, and you just need a little bit of the right support to help get you the deal. I know it was a lot for you, but I look at it like, we're just helping you get what you deserve from the buyer that you've dreamed of. And like, to me, it was so beautiful to watch. And the thing that I love about this now, of course, we are just shortly after it. I mean, they were really wonderful buyers. Like the experience was wonderful for you.
Wonderful.
I mean, you tell me if there were any challenges or anything. What did you learn through the process? What was it like? Give us because it's, I always say with exits, like days feel like years, like when you're going through the process. It's really, really, really long and hard and scary, even when it's condensed.
Yeah.
So talk me through what the process was like.
So one thing I learned is that, a lot of bootstrap founders, especially, we have had to wear a lot of hats. We think we can do everything. We want to do everything, but we can't do everything.
Right.
And I knew I needed someone there holding my hand through these negotiations, aside from my lawyer, who was amazing as well, who's done this before, because I hadn't done it before. And this was not something I wanted to risk doing by myself the first time wrong.
Yeah.
It was too high stakes.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, know what you don't know and accept the help,
And you had a really good team of experts. One thing that I always say about this is that confidence generally is built through repetition. Like when you've done something multiple times, yes, you can be confident in it. You researched for years to know that this was you were in it. You knew what this was. Mm-hmm. When you go through an exit, you're generally doing it once, maybe twice, in your life.
Yes.
It's something where you need the right people around you.
It's so true.
Because otherwise you're just oh my gosh, it's really.
Yeah. And I was so grateful for the help. I mean, the process was pretty quick considering. It's funny, the one toe that I still have in the journalism world is I write a column for Inc. about founder life, and I interview other founders about topics I'm personally selfishly curious to know.
Yes.
And one recent column was about lessons founders wish they knew before their exits. And I quoted you as an expert in that piece. And I talked to so many founders, and there are so many horror stories that I felt lucky that mine was relatively simple. And of course, some of the horror stories came after the acquisitions.
Yeah.
But
you
many
usually
synergies.
know there's usually red flags that you ignore because of urgency.
Yes.
And this was a really good process, I think, when watching it, at least from the out, having a little bit of inside. Yeah.
You know better than me, but it felt
it was a really
good to me. And it's nice when you're, I've partnered with so many people for the company, and so many people are just not good communicators. They're not clear. They're not consistent.
Yeah.
And this team was. And I, as a communicator, professional communicator, I was so grateful for that. And I felt like I knew their motivations. They knew my motivations. Nobody was trying to hide anything from the other party. And that made it actually really easy and fun to say yes when they asked me to come on, and created a role for me.
Yeah, that was another interesting piece, was that the role was really important to you. That this was not just okay, you're selling this and bye. You're getting to innovate. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing now with Relatable.
Yeah, and they said early on, look, if you're just looking to unload this company, we're still interested, but that's not what we want. We want your brain.
Yep.
And so that to me was right. I
exactly
love,
what you wanted.
I'm an ideas person, doing all the stuff and the logistics and the sourcing and the tariffs and that just weighs me down.
Right.
Frankly, I could do it. I have done it. I have, with a team. But that's not what I'm best at.
Yeah.
And that's not where I'm best used. And they realized that. And so that made me really happy. So they created a role for me that's called Head of Innovation, Hugimals Brands, which is so fun. Someone said to me, you're going to be Tom Hanks in Big.
You are. You're Tom Hanks in Big. Okay. Couple questions on post-exit. That'll be super interesting for you to watch later.
Yeah.
One, how did you feel the minute it closed?
Numb.
Mm-hmm.
Numb. So it closed on a Friday night late.
Yep. Very late.
Down to the wire, as you know. And I kind of stumbled the 1.5 miles home in a daze. I didn't celebrate that night. I was just sort of okay, this happened. Is it real? And then the next day, everything was done. All the counter signatures were in. You had sent me flowers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd gotten flowers from, a couple people in my family. And I looked at them and I was like, okay, time to celebrate. This is real.
Yeah. I think I cried before you cried, though.
You did cry before me.
I said, I'm crying.
We were on a
She
text
texted me,
chain, and you're like, I promise you.
Oh my gosh, because it's a beautiful story. Okay, now, how did it feel first day of work at Relatable?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it felt pretty good because we'd been very clear about early goals, and there's a lot of low-hanging fruit when a larger company buys a smaller company. For instance, I hadn't had the bandwidth to even get on TikTok Shop. We weren't even
my
in
gosh.
mass retail yet. There's like so many things
There's
that
so
they
much
can just,
opportunity.
do so much quicker and easier with their relationships and with their staff and with their, resources that I could do. So I'm really looking forward to like celebrating some of those early wins, but it felt great, like I just presented to them for the first time this big deck, this big idea. I wanted to get the team behind it, and they were so behind it, and it was just so validating.
I'm so excited.
And it's just I'm like an immigrant, like no, who came from nothing, like just like clawed my way up, and was in a career where you just don't earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
Editorial, magazines, the career, even working in tech and doing content, like it's just over the years. I've watched friends in, banking and tech and whatever, just like, and I was like, when is that going to happen?
Now it's your turn. It's your turn.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's your turn. So I have one last thing I want to do.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to think about yourself a year from now, and I want you to ask her a question. And you'll ask her a question here. So say, Marina, did we either like, are we happy? Are we, any of those things? What do you want to know from yourself a year from now? And then I'm going to stitch them together in the best way. But right now I want to know what you want to know from yourself a year from now.
Is your vision coming to life?
I cannot wait to see what my Marina of 1 year from now says. Thank you so much for coming on the show this early. You are an amazing early believer in the Whisper Group, and I hope we worked really hard to do right by you because we believe in you so much, and we're so grateful to have worked with you because it was just a true pleasure.
So much gratitude back to you. All the love, all the hugs. Thank you.
Hugs with my Hugimals.